appreciate you guys coming for this conference. I'm Police Chief Jason Ziegler of the Mandan Police Department. Along with me is Mayor Jim Freilich and Morton County Assistant State Attorney Chase Langle. Before I provide the details we were able to release, at this time I want to acknowledge that this is an extreme tragic and heartbreaking incident for the children involved, their families, our community, and the first responders who arrived on scene. Our thoughts are with everyone that were impacted by this tragic incident. On August 6th, approximately 5:42 p.m., Mandan police officers responded to a residence on South Frontier Trail in southeast Mandan. Initial information was that the mother had locked herself in the home with her 3 children and was going to kill them. On arrival, officers heard assault happening inside the home and forced their way in, finding 3 children ages 5, 1, and 3, 5 months, 1 and 3, with serious injuries. 22-year-old Kaylee Earhart, the mother of the 3 children, have been placed under arrest and is currently being held at Burley Morton Detention Center pending formal charges. At this time, we can share that the 5-month-old and the 3-year-old have passed away. The 1-year-old is still being treated at a local hospital. Out of respect and privacy for the families, names of the children will not be released at this time. The Mandan Police Department were assisted by Morton County Sheriff's Office, Morton County State's Attorney's Office, the North Dakota Highway Patrol, Mandan Fire Department, Metro Area Ambulance, Central Dakota Communications, and the North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigation. I'd also like to thank the Morton County State's Attorney's Office and the District Court for their expeditious work on search warrants. Without their help, this would have been really, really a long night. This is an ongoing investigation, and we ask for privacy for the victim's family, and any speculations to the motive or reasoning for engaging in this contact would be inappropriate and unhelpful at this time. I also want to just really tell everybody that I am so proud of my department. A scene like that is something that nobody should ever have to see, and the way they came through in one of the most horrific times that they'll probably experience in their life, I'm proud. Everybody that was out there, from the Highway Patrol to Morton County, it was just like everybody knew what to do, and there was no question what needed to be done. So I appreciate the hard work and effort put in by our investigations, our patrol units, and all assisting agencies. I can't stress that enough. In North Dakota, we help each other, and I'm very proud to be part of that. I'm going to now open it for some questionings. If you got questions, please ask. Raise your hand, and I will call on them. If it's a question that I can answer, I will answer it. If it's not, then I will pass it on to Assistant State Attorney Chase Langle. Yes, ma'am.
Who called the police initially?
It came in through CENTCOM. I'm not sure who the initial caller was. They're still kind of piecing through all the details. So in the future, we're going to be dropping news releases. I won't hold another press conference like this, but we will be doing news releases, and that information can come out. Yes, sir.
Chief, previously, has your department or any agency had any contact with Ms. Earhart? Was there ever any type of like CPS or human services incidents that you have any knowledge of or can talk about?
So with this being an open investigation and still looking into it, I can't answer that question right now. Yes, sir.
Any idea what part of Mandan? If it,
it's the southern part over by where Family Fair is. Frontier runs right off of right across from Family Fair.
just curious.
Other questions? Yes, Joel?
Does this remain, jurisdiction-wise, does this remain a Mandan police case, I guess the next steps in this?
Yes, it is a Mandan police case, and we'll be working with Morton County State's Attorney to make sure that this case goes forward with prosecution.
Jace, you expect first appearance at 1:30?
Thank you. At this time, it is anticipated she will make her initial appearance at 1:30. Haven't heard from the court that her hearing will be set apart from any other arrestees.
Again, going back to Ms. Earhart, upon taking her into custody, can you say anything? I mean, did she suffer any injuries, or were they able to do any line of questioning before booking her at all so far?
What I can tell you that we have interviewed her, but with it being an ongoing investigation, I cannot give you the information on what was talked about in those interviews.
I guess going back to the other point, were they able to, I guess, take her into custody without, I guess, any injury to her at all?
That is correct. There was no injury to her to the best of my knowledge. Yes, ma'am.
Did she have any pre-existing mental health conditions that you're aware of?
Again, that's part of the investigation, and we can't speculate on anything like that. That will be part of the trial. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Is she being cooperative?
For most part, I would say yes. As far as with the investigation itself, it's hard to release that direct information to you. I can say that she was interviewed, but the information within inside that interview I can't divulge. Yes, sir.
The children were all taken from the home to a local hospital. Were they then transferred to another facility, or the two that expired, was that here?
So they were taken, one was taken to CHI and two were taken to Sanford. So, and they did expire here in the local area.
Just for housekeeping, did one expire at CHI and the other at Sanford, or did they both expire at Sanford?
I'm not sure. I mean, that's medical, and I don't think I can answer that question for you.
I think you said this, but what's next?
Next is going to be up to the state's attorney's office and the charging, and then all the court proceedings and everything else that falls with a normal case. Yes, ma'am.
Was there a father figure or anyone else living in the home with the children?
There is.
Where was the father during this incident?
He was at the location at the time.
Did he suffered any injuries, or, to the best of your knowledge, is involved in these actions in any way?
Again, it's still an open investigation. There's still other charges that could be pending, so I can't answer that question.
Has he been detained?
No, he has not. I don't stump the media very often, but usually I expect more questions.
So bad.
It is. It's really bad. Yes, sir.
So I looked at her Facebook page this morning. It indicates that she's from Dickinson. And yes, does the department have any indication how long she and her husband have been here?
That is probably part of the investigation. I don't have that information directly, and that probably would be pertinent to the investigation itself. There's no other questions unless, Chase, you got anything that you want to follow up with? I would say that would conclude this press conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, as we bring it back in here to the KFYR Plus News Desk, as you heard there, or maybe you missed it, and then police held a press conference to address the incident that happened yesterday afternoon where 3 children were injured in an assault. Woman was detained on the scene. She is facing charges, and of course we will have more information as that information comes in to us here at the KFYR Plus.
So 2 children are gone and 1 is fighting for his life after their mother cut their throats last night. Now, this happened in Mandan, North Dakota. Their mom, 22-year-old Kaylee Earnhardt, is in custody at this time as they are trying to figure out how we got here. Now, authorities were called to the home on South Frontier Trail. When they arrived at the home, they did find Kaylee with a knife in her hand, and they of course saw blood and a blood trail. She did advise them to go ahead and take her life. They did not do that. They did go ahead and get her into custody so that they could assess the situation and find out what happened. They did find all 3 of her children laying on a bed. All 3 of them have, of course, been injured. The 1-year-old, which was the middle child, has had surgery. They are still working to hopefully continue his life on. But she had a 3-year-old and a 5-month-old, and they unfortunately did not survive their injuries. 1 passed last night, and then 1 passed earlier this morning. Now, she had sent a video to the father of the children, and she was holding one of the children, had a weapon in her hand, and she told him to say goodbye to his children. He was able to wrestle the pistol out of her hand, but she chased him and the grandmother away from the scene with the knife, so they were not able to get it out of her hand. Now, they were in the process of separating. He had already reached out to mental health services to let them know that she had made threats towards her life and the life of the children. She had been admitted into a mental health facility within the past 12 to 18 months, but she had been approved to be around the children, and she was on a medication plan. Now, after authorities had read her rights, she did go ahead and stay. She remembered placing the children on the bed, but she believes their throats had been cut prior to that. She says that she does not remember everything. She does remember having the knife in her hand when the police arrived, but she does not remember all of the details as to what happened. And this is an absolutely devastating situation, especially if you are somebody that is in the midst of watching and keeping up with the Lindsay Clancy trial that is currently going on in Massachusetts. It is giving the same type of energy. I do not know if the reason that she did this is connected to her mental health, and not that that is an excuse. It is a factor. I am a big mental health advocate on that. There is a difference between something being a factor in a situation and something being labeled as an excuse. It is not an excuse. It is a factor. Just like her being a mom is a factor. So whatever led to this situation, I do hope that they are able to get to those answers, because everybody involved in the situation does deserve to have answers as to how we got to 2 children no longer being here and 1 fighting for his life and has no earthly idea that his other siblings are no longer here. I am Keisha. The channel name is Court with Keisha.
Say goodbye to your kids. That's what this mother told the father of her children before she killed them. This is unbelievable and absolutely gut-wrenching. 2 young children were killed by their very own mother. This was in Mandan, North Dakota last night on Thursday, August 6th. This is 22-year-old Kaylee Earhart, and she is the mother. And she reportedly faces 2 counts of murder, attempted murder, 2 counts of terrorizing with a dangerous weapon, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and a misdemeanor count of domestic violence. Those charges are all in connection to the incident that occurred last night that killed 2 children and left 1 horribly critically injured. According to reports, Mandan police were dispatched to a home on Thursday night. That was after they received a report that a mom had stabbed her children. When an officer entered the home, they reportedly found Kaylee holding a knife to her own throat. It was said she was just covered in blood from head to toe. She dropped the knife eventually and then told the police to kill her. She was eventually arrested and taken into custody, luckily. There was blood all throughout the home. Police followed the trail of blood, and then they found 3 children lying motionless on a bed. They were on a bed in one of the bedrooms of the home. Reportedly, all 3 of the children had horrible injuries to their necks. A 5-month-old and a 3-year-old reportedly died, and that was due to the actions of the very person who was supposed to love and care for them, their mom. The 5-month-old was pronounced deceased at a local hospital last night on Thursday. The 3-year-old died at another hospital earlier this morning on Friday. According to reports, a 1-year-old also had to have surgery but lived. Luckily. The affidavit reportedly states that before police arrived to the home last night, Kaylee chased the kids' dad and their grandmother out of the home with a knife. The kid's dad also told authorities he was able to wrestle a pistol away from Kaylee. At some point, though, Kaylee locked the father out of the home. Reportedly, the dad had a video on his phone that showed Kaylee carrying one of the kids, and that was while she was holding a gun at her hip. She is then heard in the video telling the kid's father, "Say goodbye to your kids." Unreal. It was said after she was read her rights, Kaylee told authorities she had placed the kids on the bed and she thought their throats had been cut before she cut them. She further told them that she remembered having a knife in her hands when officers arrived to the home, but she couldn't remember what all happened before that. According to reports, Kaylee and the kid's dad had been in the process of separating. The father in the past had reported to mental health professionals that Kaylee threatened to harm herself and the children. It was said Child Protective Services knew about the threats, though. But imagine that. They didn't do enough to protect those children. Reportedly, Kaylee had been admitted to a mental health facility within the past 12 to 18 months, and she was on one medication. At the time of the murders, she was cleared to be and allowed to be around the children. Unreal. This afternoon, on Friday, August 7th, she reportedly made her first court appearance. She is currently being held behind bars. This sounds like another Lindsay Clancy case. Now, Kaylee did have an infant, 5-month-old. Could this have been a case of postpartum depression? I don't know. I do believe in that condition, though. Why were the kids not protected enough if Kaylee had made threats to them in the past? That's what I want to know. I just don't understand how anyone can harm any children, much less their own flesh and blood. Make it make sense. It's evil. My prayers are with everyone who knew and loved those children, especially their father. Speaking of the father, there's now a GoFundMe that was set up to help support him and the other child during all of this. If you're interested in donating. For more true crime, be sure to follow and subscribe over on YouTube.
Here we go again. A 22-year-old mother slit the throat of all 3 of her kids. And when she got arrested by police, she said that she doesn't remember doing it. Sounds familiar? Kaylee Earhart grabbed the gun, chased the father and the grandmother out of the house, and then locked herself in the house with the 3 kids. When police finally showed up, they were able to break into the house, where they saw Kaylee standing there with a knife in her hand. She then dropped the knife and told police officers to shoot her. All 3 kids were rushed to the hospital, where unfortunately the 3-year-old and the 5-month-old did not make it. The 2-year-old boy was the one that survived. Now, before y'all try to blame the husband like y'all normally do and make a bunch of excuses for Kaylee, this is not the first time something happened in that house. The husband did say he was attacked by Kaylee multiple times, and he was in the process of getting a divorce and trying to get custody of his kids. All these weak-minded women have to do when they murder their kids is simply just say that they had postpartum depression, and y'all will have sympathy for them. But you won't have it for the kids, though.
Okay, so this trash-ass mom did the unthinkable to her 3 babies. So Thursday, August 6th in North Dakota, Kelly Earhart, 22, and her husband Karen Earhart were in the process of getting a divorce. But prior to this, she would beat Cameron, she would scratch Cameron, she pulled a gun on him, and he reported to CPS about Kaylee harming herself, and he reported her to mental health facilities in the past 12 to 18 months because of she wants to kill herself. So on that day, she went around threatening to hurt herself that day on August 6th. So again, she pointed the gun at Cameron. Cameron wrestled the gun away, and he threw the pieces of the gun around the house. Okay? Because she had the gun and one kid on her hip talking about say goodbye to your kids. And then, so after he wrestled the gun away, Kaylee got a knife and she chased Cameron and the grandmother of the children out of the house and locked the door. And then that's where she went into one of the bedrooms and slit all 3 of their throats. So, when Cameron, the husband, when the husband called the authorities, he said, um, my wife is in the house, she's going to kill the kids. And so the police got there, and Kaylee had a knife, the knife held to her throat, and she was covered in blood, and she dropped the knife, and she told the police, kill me now. Okay, so in the midst of all this, the 3-year-old, the 1-year-old, and the 5-month-old were all rushed to the hospital. On August 6th, later that day, the daughter, the 5-month-old, died. And August 7th, that morning, the 3-year-old died, but the 1-year-old son has survived. He survived with multiple surgeries, and he's probably going to have to get more. So, but when the authorities went into the bedroom, they said it looked like a horror show in there. It's just blood everywhere. And then so when they get this cunt bitch to the police station, she said, I don't know what happened. All I remember is that I had a knife in my hand and the police were there. That's all I know. Oh my God. So she went to court, and the judge gave her a $3 million cash bond due to the extreme violence of this incident. And Kaylee has not submitted a plea. They said that she is facing 9 charges. One of them is double A felony murder. Okay, so a attempted murder, several counts of terrorizing and assault, domestic violence resulting in bodily injury, and child abuse is what this woman is facing. This is a completely sad situation, to say the least, because those kids did not need to die. I put partial blame on the father, on the husband, because if you knew that your wife was mentally ill, mentally crazy, mentally fucked, why would you keep putting babies in her? And then you know she has these problems. And these babies are not far apart. They're not 5-10 years apart. So I partially blame the husband, but I put all the blame on the mom, because the psychiatric wards, these hospitals, released her with medication and said, oh, she's fine. And then a little bit after, here she go with this crime. This is very sad. I hope this mother gets the death penalty. Because she had no reason to kill these babies. No reason. I don't know why the father didn't leave with the children. Studying from her history and all the times he had to call the police and CPS, I think maybe he would have left and took the children with him. But hell, What do I know? I'm just a talking head.
Yesterday, a 22-year-old mother was arrested and accused of killing 2 of her children and seriously injuring the third, and she claims she doesn't remember doing it. Mandan Police Department says that she faces 9 charges. This includes 2 counts of murder, attempted murder, and 3 counts of aggravated assault. Court documents state that Kaylee cut the throats of her children Colton, Ava, and Morgan. Morgan was 3, Colton was 1, and Ava was 5 months old. Both Ava and Morgan did succumb to their injuries in the hospital. Colton survived with extensive surgery. According to the affidavit, the children's father, who was also at the home with the children when the police were called, told the investigators that Kaylee had mentioned dying by suicide and killing the children. He also said he planned to divorce her. The husband also says that he was threatened with a gun and was able to take it away from her and take it apart and throw it around the house. He said that Kaylee bit and scratched him during this altercation. The children's grandmother was also there. Both the grandmother and the father were chased out of the house by Kaylee with a knife, allegedly. After she got them out of the house at 5:40 p.m., the police were called by the husband. Police arrive at 5:45. They can hear an altercation happening in the house. They break down the door. When an officer entered the home, they could see Kaylee holding a kitchen knife to her own throat. She was covered in blood. They found all of her children on the bed, also covered in blood with gashes to their throats. Also, according to the affidavit, when the police walked in, she dropped the knife and told them to kill her. Also, before the father and grandmother were chased out of the house, the father got a video. The video is of Kaylee holding one of her children on her hip and holding a gun in the other hand, saying, "Say goodbye to your kids." And after being arrested, Kaylee told the investigators that she placed the children on the bed and believed their throats had been cut before she did so. She says she remembered having a knife in her hands when police arrived, but did not remember everything that happened.
A North Dakota mother is currently behind bars after she allegedly cut the throats of all 3 of her children on Thursday evening. 2 of them have passed away, but somehow one of them is still holding on. This is Kaylee Earhart. She's 22 years old from Mandan, North Dakota. Police responded to a home on South Frontier Trail at 5:42 p.m. after receiving a call about 3 children who had been seriously injured during an assault. When they got there, they said they could hear commotion going on inside, so they forced their way in, and she had apparently cut all of their throats. In a news conference today, the chief of police said that Kaylee had locked herself inside the house and threatened to unalive them. Of course, all 3 of the children were immediately rushed to a hospital, and like I said, 2 of them passed away. Morgan, who turned 3 in March, and Ava, who was born in February. Colton, who will be 2 years old in October, survived. Now, from the outside looking in, she seems like a really loving, loyal, dedicated mother. Her book of faces is flooded with pictures of the kids. You can see she has an album for each one. She posts when they were born, their birthdays, milestones, just all kinds of things. But she also posts about her depression. This is from 2023. She said that her mom took her own life and that she has tried. She said, "I've had depression for a long time. I went to the doctors the other day for headaches I've been having, and they said it's most likely due to stress/depression. Right now, I've been more depressed, but I'm working on that. But those times that I did try, I'm so thankful I'm here because I would have missed out on missing this cute little girl." Around that same time, she posted this on her TikTok. It said, "This last month and a half have definitely been some of the hardest times I've been through. I love Morgan to pieces and I'm so glad she's here, but my postpartum depression has definitely kicked my butt at times. Sometimes I feel so alone and stuck, like nobody is there for me. I have nobody to talk to, and sometimes I wish I would have waited to have Morgan. It's definitely been a wild ride considering I felt so depressed," and then the rest is cut off. Despite her mental health issues after having Morgan, she and her husband had 2 more children. And like I said, Ava's just 5.5 months old. So I don't know if this was a postpartum psychosis or why she did this. But as you can see, she's facing several charges that include murder and attempted murder. My heart goes out to her family, especially her husband. Apparently he was there at the house when it happened. So I can't even imagine what he's going through right now.
This young mother told her husband and the father of her children, "Say goodbye to your kids," before she unalived 2 of them and seriously injured the third. And guys, this case is so disturbing, so if you do not want to hear the details, then consider this your warning. This young mother is 22-year-old Kaylee Earhart, and she is now facing unaliving charges on 2 of her children and an attempt on a third. So this tragedy occurred on August 6th, and according to police, at least a bit of the altercation between Kaylee and her husband was caught on video, including the statement she made about saying goodbye to his kids. Officers were dispatched to a home in Mandan, North Dakota on Thursday evening to reports of a mother who had stabbed her children. When police arrived, they found Kaylee. She had a KNIFE to her throat. She eventually dropped it, and she told police to unalive her. Obviously, they didn't, and they took her into custody. When police had control of the scene, they followed a trail of red stuff to a bedroom where they found all 3 of her children lying motionless on the floor. Police say all 3 of her children had wounds to their neck, and the 5-month-old and the 3-year-old passed away from their injuries. The 1-year-old was taken to the hospital, received surgery, and has survived. Court documents say before police arrived at the home that Kaylee had chased her husband and her children's grandmother out of the house with a weapon. Her husband was able to wrangle that weapon from her and disassemble it just before she was able to lock him out of the house. The couple was in the process of separating, and the husband had previously reported that she had made threats against herself and her children, and CPS was aware of this. This is my shocked face. It's being reported that Kaylee also spent time in a mental health facility within the last 12 to 18 months. Her bond has been set at $3 million, and she is facing 9 charges, the worst of which I mentioned earlier. Kaylee's Facebook was open to the public. She has tons of pictures of her children, all of whom should have been protected, especially if this is something she had threatened prior. If you don't already, hit that follow button for all true crime, and we will keep you updated as this case progresses through court.
This woman right here is Kaylee Earhart from Mandan, North Dakota. And she is doing rounds on the internet right now because her children, actually 2 of them are gone, and I think 1 survived. I'm not even gonna hold you. When I first heard about this, I'm thinking, well, this will be Lindsey Graham 2.0, because what's her excuse? Postpartum. Is that the excuse y'all are gonna give this woman, just like y'all are giving Lindsay Clancy, who's never claimed to have postpartum depression or anything of that nature? You birds are the ones that put that on her and trying to come up with all these conspiracy theories and all this other stuff to excuse her children. What's even wilder, that woman was only 22 years old when she did this. 22 years old. And now she's about to spend the rest of her life behind bars, and rightfully so. So if any of you birds that want to come up with an excuse for her, just like you did Lindsay Clancy, you know what the comment section is. Bring it.